Welcome back to the channel. So we're going to look at this company today and some other graphite players. This SGA on the ASX. Thank you for the viewer for pointing this out to me. So the market cap, never trust Google's market cap, 21 million. It's actually $40 million. They've got 8 million in cash, which they'll be spending on drilling because their resource is all inferred. They need to drill it more to say, yep, it's indicated. So when you go to graphite, it's about grade, size, so resource, grade of the resource, and location. So the best one would be Telga, $400 million company, because if we go back to here, Telga is actually located here. They got hydropower near all the big battery factories, so they got grade, size of resource, and location, and they got the downstream, so that's why it's such a great company. And I think all these companies in graphite will go higher if we see something like what happened to lithium. We didn't need lithium. It was, you made it, you got it out of the ground for 500, sold it for 1,000, doubled your money. And then it turned out you got it out of the ground for 500 and sold it for 5,000, making a lot more money. So that's what happened to lithium. And then all the prices, all the stock prices followed that. And that could be graphite once we hit a shortfall, which won't happen. It could happen, you just don't know when, because there's a bit of graphite around. We need to eat all that graphite with EVs, which aren't in full swing as yet, but you'll see they'll slowly grow. So when that graphite shortfall happens, you'll probably see something like what happened to lithium. Maybe not to that extent, as graphite's a bit more abundant than lithium. I'm not really sure. So you want grade, you want resource size, grade, and location. So SGA, let's see, in this favorite thing I have here, their grade, although inferred, is 30% grade. So they're number one in the grade department. Contain graphite, where you got Sahara here on 147. Well, although inferred, SGA has 60 tons contained, and which is a top 3 on this. We have Triton Minerals. They actually lost this mine, so that's in Nigeria, Mozambique. Their lease ran out and they couldn't renew it and it got taken away from them. They have this one up here. So when you buy a company, a graphite company, you want to make sure it's better than the next guys, because then you need to really buy a company that's going to get in production. Because you buy a company that's not getting in production, you could kiss your money goodbye. But if it's going to get in production, it's very highly likely you could buy now. You could wait a while to see any returns or big growth, but you can just hold out for production to come in, and you'll see the share price go that way. So that's just my opinion. So we'll go back up, start with these guys. Kazakhstan. So grade here. Inferred resource, they got to drill it out more. They got 8 million cash to drill it out a bit more. Take in mind, you to have a 10-year resource, you only need 1 million tons contained for 100,000 tons a year. You get the point. So they don't need to drill out this whole 209 million tons. They can just drill out 20% of it and be in business for 40 years or something like that. So coming down, so this company, I believe this guy, after my phone call today, this guy owned it, and then he wanted to raise the money so he could actually take it further. So he still owns 40%. Here he is, or 39%, sorry, mate. Didn't make the 40% mark. Yeah, so this guy still owns 40%, and they got this much cash to do drilling. And then I guess go drill it out. Just wait for, they really need 200 million to build the mine, or maybe they can do the first stage at a low cost, like 50 million. Like a lot of the graphite players, they're not getting in full swing straight away. They build a small mine for 50 million, and then once the graphite demand comes in, they increase the mine size to go to 200 million capex or something like that. So think about Africa. I'll just tell you, Africa has pretty low capex. If you look at all the capexes for African companies, quite low compared to Canada, really. Australia seems quite low when you look at RNU. So that's another thing with a graphite company. CapEx is a big thing. So it's resource size, grade, location, capex. And location and capex can tie together, because if you're near a city, it's with existing infrastructure, your capex is or could be a lot lower. So that's why Renascor is at this price here, because they got a great location, a good resource, and a low OPEX, etc. Most likely, definitely will get in production. They got a free loan from the government. So, but what I like to do is try and pick the next Renascor here, because Renascor is going to grow. But if you can pick something like this for $40 million, that's a 10x to get to where Telga is. So there could be more multiples of your money, but obviously you want to be sure it's going to get there. So what? We'll go back to this slide. No one cares. So natural graphite is better for the environment. Synthetic is made out of petroleum coke. Something a byproduct of petrol, so petrol is going to get more scarce. Therefore, probably synthetic will get more costly, etc. Well, that's what people believe. So location. So China is the powerhouse now of EVs. They've been doing it for more years than everyone else, so they're in full swing. They've probably streamlined their anode thing. So the deal is China runs out of the actual stuff that comes out of the ground, although China's a lot of synthetic as well. Another thing, China in winter has to shut down a lot of the processing because they don't have enough electricity to go around. So that's when stuff can happen to prices of materials, etc. Yeah, so half synthetic but half natural, but we will go more towards natural in the future. And we're trying to get scarce of them. It seems likely they might get it from this mine, which means pretty high probability this will get into production, you would think. So capex and this. So do we care about that? Not really. Access bitumen road. So yep, that's good. High tick. So they take it to the train station, ship it to China, get out of the ground for 500, sell it to China for 1,000. Though hopefully when the graphite shortfall comes in, which I think it will, they'll be selling it for like 4 times that price. I just assume, could be totally wrong. 2 kilometer from high voltage power lines, that is a big tick, and hopefully that's hydroelectricity. I looked at Kazakhstan, seems to be a lot of hydroelectricity there, but I'm not quite sure. So hydroelectricity is the cheapest electricity going around, especially if it's already there and you don't have to build the solar plant, whatever. I mean, hydro will be cheaper if it's already there in place than if you have to build the solar plant as well. You get the point. So interestingly enough, no LFP batteries on this thing, because we're going to LFP because it is cheaper. I mean, because nickel's so expensive, so LFP is less energy dense but cheaper to produce. So that's why we're going to LFP, because it also suits the needs of what we need, if that makes sense. Graphite, so they want to go to silicon because it's cheaper, but they can't do it just yet because graphite lasts, they can make it last a long time, the battery degradation, etc. Like graphite, in my opinion, is going to be the way for the next 10-15 years, and it works. So they want to go silicon. If you do some research, they can't really go 100% silicon. It could be 5% to 20%. Tesla's new battery, they didn't even put any silicon in it for some reason. So yeah, graphite, it'll be 50-50 synthetic and natural, moving more toward natural in the future, in my opinion. And if you do research, it could be your opinion too. So I'm not sure what he said. Talga, it's about mine, location, resource, capex, and OPEX comes from, that's all mixed together. So Telga being the best here, hydroelectricity, high grade. They've already gone downstream, done all the work. That's why they're 400 million. They're near the battery factories. They put it on a train, take it to these guys. So that's why Telga is very good. And Telga should probably grow because the numbers are already huge. But I think if you go back to look at this is example CXO on the ASX. You look at the MPV. It just looked average, and then what happened? The lithium price went 5x. So what happens to them? They went crazy. So they could build the mine for 100 million, and they made that back in less than a year. So now they're going to be getting out of the ground, sell it to China, and they're going to be printing money because no one else is getting out of the ground now, and they are. So they're going to use that money they're making they can get more out of the ground using their expertise, etc., etc. So that's why they're at 2 billion. And they could grow even more, I'm not really sure, don't care. Another side note, GL1 on the SX probably will be the next producer coming on stream. So I see some growth there. Anyway, back to Graphite. So where were we? There's all different shapes. You get more for jumbo. The stuff you get out of the ground, you have to make it into a sphere, which means you get 2 tons out of the ground, which makes 1 ton of spherical, and then you coat that with some special material so the battery doesn't degrade, and that costs like 8 grand. So you get out of the ground for 500 now. You can sell it to China for 1,000, or you can make it into spherical, so you get 2 tons out of the ground, costing you 500 if you have the resource. Blend it up for the cost of electricity and machinery. Spherical sells for about 3 grand, I think. And then if you spend the extra money to coat it, not sure how much it costs to coat it, then you can sell it for 8 grand to 11 grand. Which works out to be like $1,000 for your Tesla. So that's what I'm saying. It's only $1,000, so it could easily grow 4x, because if you're spending 80,000 on Tesla, and they say, oh, you can't move it without the graphite. So, oh, fine, I'll pay the extra 4 grand, and on your way. So lithium, I believe, is around $7,000 for the lithium for your Tesla. Let's just say it's 5,000 to be safe. Graphite is only 1,000, and that's why there's room to grow for graphite. It's a very important part. Although graphite is more abundant than lithium, and they've been getting it out of the ground for other reasons previously. Though I still see there will be a shortfall, because no one's spending the $200 million to build the mine, and they won't do it until like people get around and say, we need that graphite. Well, give us the $200 million and we'll build the mine. That's fine, we'll do it. And the graphite price goes up, so people like say, okay, we'll definitely give you the money, because you're going to make millions of dollars. Okay, here's, take the money, build it. Take the money, build it. You get the idea. So, big resource. We knew that. High grade. So this could be, most likely, give this a really high chance to be into production. But be prepared. You could buy it now, but be prepared to wait 5-10 years for it to get near there. But by that time, the closer it gets to production, or looking like it is in production, this share price will go up. So, Telga, pardon me, some announcements about getting in production, etc., etc., shoots up. That's where you make your money on these shares. RNU. Sorry if you bought there. You bought low. Announcements come out about offtake, etc. Free loan from the government. And you go from 1 cent to 19. And it can still grow, given graphite could grow. So that's it for this video, and see you in the next one.